This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be? Me, your me, Louie T. Welcome to Lockdown Coverage Week number 13. The National Football League, Kansas City, the City Chiefs taking on the New York Jets. J-E-T-S, Jets. This is a hell of a football game. Really entertaining game to watch. 69 points total scored between the two teams. This looked like a rout early on. Chiefs jumped out to a 14-0 lead, and they looked a lot like the Chiefs team that started off the season 5-0. They looked like they were going to dominate the Jets and snap this ugly skid that they were on and remain atop the AFC West early on in this game, jumping out to a 14-0 lead. Alex Smith was unconscious early in this game. Started the game off 6 of 6 for over 100 yards passing and 2 touches, both to Travis Kelce, who started out like he was going to have a 200-yard receiving game and had a chance to have a huge game, a bigger game than what he had if Alex Smith was able to connect with him with another deep ball down the sideline. And Smith got hit as he was trying to deliver and wasn't able to connect with Kelce. So those two were on the same page. Smith got out to a quick start. A monster day from Tyreek Hill. This looked like the Chiefs offense that was ripping the league to shreds early on. And I told you this, and I feel like a broken record because every time I talk about the Chiefs now when their struggles, I reference back to when I told you in week 4 after the Redskins game on a Monday night that I wasn't impressed with this Chiefs defense. In fact, I thought that that was going to be the demise of this team. And I said if they don't maximize the start of this season, which at the time they were 4-0, they would ultimately go on to 5-0 before losing their next 6 out of 7 games, that if they didn't maximize the start to the season, it would be because of this defense that I thought was really porous. And I said this defense is not good. The Redskins moved the football all night that night on Monday Night Football. And I said more teams are going to do so and have success, and they're going to actually find a way to win and not throw it away at the end like the Redskins did. And that's what you've been seeing. This Chiefs defense stinks. They're horrible. And it's a travesty that the Chiefs lost this football game. It really is, because offensively they were outstanding in this game until late. That final possession, there were opportunities for them to come down, score, and tie this game up at 38. And Alex Smith missed some passes. But other than that possession, this offense was ridiculous. And the only thing that they were missing that they had earlier in the season going on was the run game with Kareem Hunt. They still can't find a way to really get him going. And this wasn't a terrible game from Kareem Hunt. It just wasn't impactful, which he was a difference maker earlier in the season. And he just hasn't been able to get back on track since the Chiefs have started to struggle up front along the offensive line and opening holes in the run game. And he hasn't been that big of a factor in the passing game either, which is a shame because he was so dominant earlier in the season, whether it was on the ground, in the air, or both. He was a difference maker for this Chiefs offense, and he just hasn't been over the last month and a half or so for this Chiefs football team. But that's of no consequence in this game because Alex Smith was ridiculous. I mean, that MVP talk that we had going on earlier in the season, he looked more like that guy in this game. 4 touchdown passes, over 300 yards. He was throwing bombs and darts all day long until, like I said, that final possession where I thought he missed some throws. A miscommunication on the 4th and 6 at the end of the game. Everybody was open. Everybody ran stop routes. Everybody ran sticks right at the hitches at the sticks. And all he had to do was pick one. Everybody was open. He picked Kelce. And he threw it inside, and Kelce just ran a stop like everybody else did. And he was open. And just a miscommunication there. But, boy, were the Chiefs clicking on offense. And for them to lose this game and give up 38 just speaks volumes to the ineptitude of this defense. But I'm not going to sit here and make this about the Chiefs. They lost. We'll talk about the Chiefs a little bit later on. But let's talk about the Jets and how they were able to get it done in this football game, 38-31, win their 5th of the season, now 5-7. on the season. Should have won last week against Carolina. They should be 6-6 and fighting for a playoff berth right now instead of 5-7 and really on the outside looking in. And again, hats off. And I've said this a million times, and I'm going to continue to say this. He better get at least a vote for first place head coach of the year. Todd Bowles, outstanding job this year. And this is a much more talented Jets team. And I've said this a number of times as well. And I'm going to continue to echo these sentiments. This is a much more talented football team than we gave them credit for. I've already made a list of the most underrated duos in the league. And on that list is Jermaine Kearse and Robbie Anderson. They've been outstanding. They both had 100 yards receiving last week versus Carolina. Jermaine Kearse was ridiculous in this game. Robbie Anderson had a ton of catches in this game as well. They were just making plays. Offensively, when every answer that the Chiefs had for them, they had an even bigger and better answer for the Chiefs on the offensive side of football. They've been outstanding on the offensive side of football. Josh McCown is setting all kinds of personal bests with this Jets offense. He's already surpassed his career high for touchdown passes, already surpassed his career high in passing yards. He's already passed and is going to set a new personal best for completion percentage in the season. He's having by far and away his best season of his career, and it's not even close. And this offense is ridiculous, and he's doing a great job of leading this offense when he's not making boneheaded mistakes like he did last week in the fumble versus the Panthers. When he's making smart decisions with the football, this offense is tough to stop with the way that they're using all of their weaponry, whether it's ASJ at the tight end position or the backside of the backfield, Belial Powell, Matt Forte with a touchdown grab in this game. They're doing a really good job of using their young back that they drafted as a change of pace. They find and create nice ways to get him the football out in space, whether it's perimeter runs with tosses and sweeps and pitches, or stretches, or it's just getting him the football. They really like him a lot, and he's starting to make a difference. And I wasn't sure if he was a true difference maker, but I was wrong about him. He's making a difference for them in their offense, and so there's enough footballs to go around for everyone to make a difference, and that's what you're seeing with this Jets offense. And they've got something. If they could just find a young quarterback to develop, because we don't know how much longer Josh McCown is going to be able to do this for. I mean, again, he's setting personal bests in his 16th year of his career, which is rare for quarterbacks, but that's how he's playing right now. But how much longer can he do this? And obviously you want to find the quarterback of the future, so still be looking out for that guy. But in the meantime, you've got a guy that can keep the ship afloat with the amount of talent that you have with McGuire and Forte and Powell at the running back positions, and Robbie Anderson and Jermaine Kearse. And I think the young guys that you drafted are going to develop in Hanson and Ardarius Stewart. Those guys are going to develop as they get more playing time and more opportunities. They're going to start to show what they're made of. So this is a talented football team, and more talented than we gave them credit for. Defensively, this was a disappointing effort. Their corners got torched. You traded for Rashard Robinson. He got smoked by Tyreek Hill. Then Hill said, well, I can do it once, I can do it twice. I'll go pick on your other corner, and he smokes Mo Claiborne on the other side for a deep one. He had 6 catches for $185 in this game and 2 touches. He was outstanding. And so your corners were outmatched is what they were. Travis Kelce smoked your safeties, beat on a double move. They were just destroying your secondary in this game. Not enough pressure on Alex Smith. He had a 70-yard run in which Jamal Adams tries to strip him of the football and just bounces off of him. And so Alex Smith with a 70-yard run to set up points. I mean, this Jets defense was gutted in this football game. They should be ashamed of themselves for giving up the type of points that they gave up. Which, look, the Chiefs are a talented offense, but the way they were struggling coming into this game, there was no excuse for giving up what you gave up. But nonetheless, the offense bailed you out in this football game, putting up 38 points and helping you secure the victory. This is a wacky finish to this game with the Chiefs cornerback, Marcus Peters, the Kansas City Thief, stealing the referee's flag off the ground and throwing it into the crowd, thinking he was ejected, but actually wasn't ejected. Left, went to the locker room, came back after he was told he wasn't ejected with no socks on. It was a crazy finish. The Jets literally got into the red zone with 6 minutes left in this football game, and it took them until the 2-minute warning to finally score a touchdown after having them have to settle for a field goal, which would have given them a 33-31 lead. The Chiefs then commit a personal foul penalty. I think it was on Benny Logan, that gave the Jets a fresh set of downs from about the 4-yard line. It then had a situation where they went to third down, didn't get a first down, so they were going to have to kick another field goal, but holding penalty on Nelson, the corner, gave the Jets a new fresh set of downs. They get the second down. They get another holding penalty, or this time they score on third down on a toss to McGuire, who gets into the end zone. Or I want to say actually it was Josh McCown who got into the end zone on a quarterback sneak after they tried it twice. Didn't work the first time, tried it again, he got in. And then they go for two because they were up 36-31. They go for two. They don't get it initially. McCown scrambles, runs around for like 20 seconds, then throws it in the back of the end zone to nobody. But they call holding on Steven Nelson again, which was the right call, gives them another opportunity at the two-point conversion. And then they give it to McGuire out on the edges. He gets in, and the two-point conversion is converted. And now, after all of that mayhem, and we've seen the Chiefs be in situations of, remember the Raiders, end of the Raiders game that they lost? This was very similar to that, in which they just found a way to give up a touchdown. They said to themselves, we're giving up a touchdown here, just like they did in the Raiders game. To lose that ball game, they did the same thing to lose this game. And had they just held the Jets to a field goal like they had done initially before the personal foul penalty, they would have probably won this game because they got right down the field within chip shot field goal range for Harrison Butker, who missed a field goal earlier in the game. And so had he not missed a field goal, maybe the outcome of this game is different. But in any event, they got right down there, and Alex Smith missed on a wide open Travis Kelce on a stop route at the sticks that would have converted and given them first and goal probably from about the 9-yard line, but instead misses a wide open Kelce, and they lose the game 38-31. So poorest effort defensively from both teams, really. I mean, both teams were absolutely gashed offensively by the other team. Defensively, neither team showed up in this football game. Crazy finish. But the Jets hold on, unlike last week when they weren't able to hold on versus the Panthers. They hold on this week and get it done 38-31, improve to 5-7 on the season. Maybe a little too late for them in terms of the playoffs, but you never say never in the AFC with all of the things going on there. But with the Ravens catching fire at the right time, pretty safe to say the Jets won't be able to overcome the hole that they've dug themselves at 5-7 this season. And the Chiefs, meanwhile, after the hot start to the season at 5-0, they're now 6-6 and in a three-way tie in the AFC West with the Raiders and Chargers. They're not going to win this division. They've pissed this thing away, and they're at the point now where they lack confidence. They expect to lose football games. They know that they can't make the plays to find a way to win, and so they're a team that is essentially the walking dead. They've put themselves in a position now where this thing is going downhill and they just can't stop it. They're bleeding and they have no way to stop this bleeding. They're hemorrhaging at this point. And I think the Chargers are going to come and take this division away from them. And it wouldn't shock me if the Raiders, who have them next week in Kansas City, go for the season sweep, do sweep the Chiefs and put the Chiefs out of their misery. If the Chiefs drop to under 500, they're dead in the water. If they lose next week to the Raiders, they may not win another game this season. So, unless they have Denver on the schedule again. And I don't know, they may have used up both of their Denver Broncos get-out-of-jail-free cards this season already. If they haven't, then they may get one more win. But I don't see them beating the Chargers the second time around at home. I don't see them beating the Raiders the second time around at home. Unless something changes. Offensively, this was something that we needed to see from them. And it gives you a cause for hope going home next week. But again, if the defense is going to play the way that they played in this game, the Raiders are capable of putting up 38 points just like the Jets did and finding a way to win. Just like they did in the first game when these two teams met. Same thing. The Raiders gave up a ton of yards. Tyreek Hill ate them alive. And Alex Smith was outstanding in that game. And they still lost because the defense gave up a ton of yards and a ton of points, including that crazy finish to the game in which they had 19,000 penalties that allowed the Raiders to ultimately win the football game. So I don't know what to make of this Chiefs team, but they're in trouble. I can assure you of that. And I don't see them winning this division now after pissing away what was an insurmountable lead at one point, starting off the season at 5-0. Ridiculous. They were at one point 6-1 on the season, were these Chiefs. No one was even close. The closest team to them at one point was the Raiders. It might have been the Broncos at like 3-2. And then the Broncos fell off a cliff. They haven't won a game since like October. And the Raiders were struggling. And the Chargers started off 0-4. They had this thing wrapped up. All they had to do was play mediocre football down the stretch. And they just unraveled. They've self-destructed. And I don't think they can put the pieces back together this season. I think it's too late, but we'll see. As they lose to the Jets 38-31 to drop to 6-6 and allow everyone except the Broncos back into this division. Josh Berman says, Alex Smith played very well. Just ask my opponent who had to deal with me and my 44 fantasy points from Alex Smith. Alex Smith was outstanding in this game. The offense wasn't the reason they lost this game. You can't point the finger at the offense. They did everything. When they spot the defense a 14-point lead to start this game off, that should have been all the momentum the defense needed to go out and get stops, get the football back to a red-hot offense, and allow them to put this game away. And instead, they just gave up points on the defensive side of the football. John Niner says, Andy Reid will be fired at the end of the season. I don't know if he will or not, but this kind of collapse, generally heads roll after something like this transpires. So Andy Reid's got so much equity built up in this league that I don't know if he gets fired or not. But I tell you what, this is definitely a fireable offense if they don't find a way to salvage this season and make the postseason. And they got to win the division in order to make the postseason. I don't think the AFC West is all of a sudden going to get two teams in. So by all accounts, this is a one-bid division. You're going to have to win the division to get in. And if the Chiefs don't find a way in, it could spell the end for Andy Reid in Kansas City. I don't know if he'll get fired or not. John Niner says, should Kansas City start Mahomes? No. Alex Smith was outstanding in this game. Why would you start Mahomes when you're in the dead heat of a playoff race? Would you think a rookie's going to come in and change the fortunes of your football team? It's possible, highly unlikely. Alex Smith is not your problem right now. The defense is. Unless Patrick Mahomes plays defense, then there's no reason to insert him into the lineup. Stevie D says, I was at the Raiders game yesterday, so I missed this one, but the Chiefs' loss brings a smile to my face. We control our own destiny. More like you control the outcome of your season. Destiny, I hate when people say control their own destiny, and I hate to be literal here, but destiny is a predetermined outcome, which means you don't control it. It's already been decided. You control the outcome of your season. You dictate what happens from here on out. You win games, you win the division. And so, yes, the Raiders do control the outcome of their season by just winning games. And this game against the Chiefs next week, the biggest game they've had to date this season, they sweep them, they've got a great opportunity to win the division. Stevie D says, Todd Bowles is turning water into wine with this team. He's working magic. I'm just so impressed. Like I said, I've been talking about this all season long, that this man needs at least a first-place vote for head coach of the year. He should not win, but he should get recognition for what he's doing this season, and it's ridiculous. Josh Berman says, Todd Bowles is a great coach. I mean, damn. He doesn't get enough credit. I mean, at one point, they were talking about firing him last offseason after going 10-6. Think about this. He went 10-6 with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback. Then Fitzpatrick went back to being Ryan Fitzpatrick last year after holding out, trying to hold the Jets for ransom. And so he came back and he was funky. And now he's got Josh McCown and he's playing good football. Like, come on, man. This dude is doing all he can. Josh Berman says, at the beginning of the year, I thought the Chiefs would disappoint, but not like this. They have fell flat. Absolutely. John Niner says, Kareem Hunt needs to be more involved in offense, pretty much went away from him. They have, to a certain degree. They're not running the football nearly as much. There isn't that concerted run effort to run the football like it was earlier in the season when he was going over 100 yards and gashing teams. They are still throwing him the football out of the backfield, but it's just not as effective as it was earlier in the season. I do think they need to get him a little bit more involved. Stevie D says, my Raiders are catching these chumps at the right time. They look unconfident and depleted. I hope we are the ones to put them out of their misery. You'll have a chance, for sure, next week. Gregory Fuller says, if the Chiefs miss the playoffs, is Andy Reid fired? I guess is his question. I've heard people say that. I don't know if there's any validity to that or not. I will say this. If they miss the playoffs and let's say they lose 3 out of their last 4 games and they finish up the season at 7-9, there may be grounds for Andy Reid to get fired. You know, after starting 5-0 and 6-1, to not get to at least 500 on the season, that's what you call an epic collapse. And someone usually has to be the scapegoat for that. Someone's got to be the fall guy for losing your final, you know, what did they lose? 8 out of 9 games. Someone's got to be the scapegoat for that. So might be Andy Reid. We'll see. They've already fired their GM once in John Dorsey, so they're not going to go that route, obviously. So Andy Reid would be the next guy. And normally when you get a new GM in there, he wants to get his own head coach in there. So Andy Reid could be on the chopping block. Who knows? We'll see. But I don't think he's going to get fired personally. But again, if this thing continues to go south, all bets are off. As the Jets defeat the Chiefs in a whale of a ball game, 38-31. Jets improve to 5-7. Meanwhile, the Chiefs go to 6-6 on the season. That's going to do it for your man Louie T here on Lockdown Coverage. More coming your way. Stay tuned. I'll see you in a bit.